Hello, Devonport Camera Club. My name is Mark Blothoft. I'm your judge for your monthly competition this month. I'm a professional photographer with over 30 years' experience. Transitioned from the good old film days through digital and seen all the technological advancements and so forth. And love the industry, enjoy being in the industry and being surrounded by photographers, photography, and so forth. And here I am with one of the cameras that I started on many years ago, the Nikon F3 with a 250 back. The 250 back actually held a cassette with 250 exposures in it. So I've been mainly involved in the school photographic industry and volume photography, so everything associated with that, so schools and all kinds of bits and pieces. I currently work for Arthur Reed Photos. I'm the photographic manager and senior photographer, and enjoy the photographic industry, the school photographic industry. It's very interesting, very challenging, and never a dull moment, that's for sure. But I've done all kinds of different things professionally over the years as well. I've worked for a regional newspaper for a period of time, worked on a few movie sets as a stills photographer, and done sort of everything else in between. I've also judged at camera clubs for over 20 years. And really enjoy, meeting members and seeing work and going through that process of judging, and not just judging and critiquing, but hopefully through my judging, helping photographers, challenge photographers, and helping them to improve. And analyze images and so forth to help you become a better photographer. So that's my aim through the process of judging. Really enjoy it. And the process for me, it's about the images as a group. What images are standing out, where is expertise shown, and creativity and unique storytelling and all those kind of things. And that's what I really enjoy about the process of judging and just being surrounded by images. So I certainly see it as a privilege, and judged your club for the first time last year, and certainly happy to be back. I also photograph for myself personally. So professionally I photograph, but photography is my hobby. And I get out and try and see the world and use photography as an excuse to travel, adventure, and experience and see things. What a wonderful thing we're involved in. Photography is great, and I love all aspects of it. All right, so let's get into the judging part of it. So we're going to start with the Monochrome Open. We're going to start to look at the acceptances. And where are we? Here we are. Here's our first image here, which is a really nice image. I really like the intensity. I love the expression. Is she enjoying what she's playing? Is it challenging what she's playing? There's a little bit of storytelling to the image. The simplicity of the background, just being black, is great. There's no sort of real distractions and so forth. Now, I did judge all the images based on the prints. So I was sent the prints over, and I did all the judging via the prints. I've had access, obviously, to the digital files to create this video for you, but I did the judging of the prints. Now, in this particular instance, this image here, unfortunately, was a little bit soft. It wasn't quite sharp, particularly where our eyes are drawn to when we look at people through the eyes. So it was just a little bit soft. But there's some really nice aspects to this image all the same. Yeah, really interesting, this image. It's obviously somewhat unique. It doesn't look like it's a tram in Melbourne town or Devonport for that matter. Nicely positioned. Sort of the leading lines here are really nice, and the way this kind of is hovering. Where's the title of the image? Let me just see if I can see it here. Hover train. So it looks really interesting from that point of view. The blacks and whites are nice as well. Nice little touch with the driver. Assuming that's a driver, not a passenger. Looking sort of, I don't know, sort of. I'll let you kind of work out what you think. Is she bored? Is she? I'm not quite sure, but that's a nice little part of this capture. All right, so let's look to the highly commended of our monochrome open section. Yeah, wow! Look at the lots going on in this image, and the crunch of the black and white. So we have really high contrast, which is nice. It's got a timeless kind of feel to the image as well, and look, monochrome does that beautifully anyway. But sort of the highlights and the darks and the blacks and the whites is probably what I'm trying to say. It's quite a busy shot. I think this guy here is the hero, but I think this little plan here is unfortunately sort of detracting a little bit. I'd love to see these windows and a little bit more in there. So there's a lot going on. Yeah, there's a tree over here on the left, and there's some foliage and a tree over here on the right as well. But the texture and the walls and the roof here, are certainly of interest. It's just very busy. There's a lot going on, and we kind of maybe lose a little bit of a focus. But I love the crunch. That's one of the first things that sort of struck me when I saw this image. Love there's a gentleness to the image. It looks calm and serene, and it looks like a really exotic sort of location too. Sort of got this heavy industrial component of the image in a beautiful landscape. So that's really interesting in itself, because the landscape, from a nature point of view, is obviously beautiful, and wonderful sky, still water, some really nice reflections there of this building. Nice placement of the foreground here, and sort of with the nature sort of wrapped around this sort of man-made structure. I love the placement of the grasses here. Just a tiny, maybe a little bit hot. Maybe we could have just brought that down a little bit, just to have a tiny bit more detail. But a wonderful moment captured, I think, particularly with the sky and the drama there, and again, really like the placement of all sort of components of the image. The sky, the mountains, and the wraparound here of the water, and then the foreground of the grasses is really pleasing. Yeah, good stuff. Sort of all the elements are placed really nicely. I think firstly, there's great engagement here. Love her, subtle expression, eye contact with the photographer. Although we can't see the eyes, the face is generally facing us, so it gives us that impression. We've just arrived, or just about to head off, and pretty happy about it, which is great. Really like that. The way the scene sort of the elements here of the two bikes, the way they sort of flow from the left to the middle, and then we have these people sitting over here at the table. That's quite nice. I like the way that happens. Beautiful old building in the background as well. It sort of complements the doorway between the two people. Was a nice touch as well. The building in the background there, and these trees and the fence all sort of adds a bit of character. The car, unfortunately, probably detracts a little, and that's obviously tricky to get rid of or hide. Although I'm certainly not against the removal of bits and pieces. I think to get it in camera is for me the skill of the photographer, is to really sort of think about the placement, and I think the photographer has definitely shown that. The black and white conversions is on the money. I think we've got nice contrast that I think help sets the scene with the bikes and all that kind of thing as well. Some drama in the sky, it all kind of works quite nicely. So some things that are working quite nicely in the image. All right, we're over to the merits of Monochrome Open. Yeah, wonderful, a beautiful scene. Really like the sort of almost panoramic crop. I think that actually works quite nicely. We've obviously decided to get rid of some of the foreground or the top part of the image that may not have been strengthening the image. So I think that's wise. The drama of the sky adds a lot, and then of the actual treatment of the building itself, and the way the texture and the interest in the bricks and the roof and the chimneys and all that kind of thing is all, really nicely dealt with. I like that. And just the placement of the tree over here, and sort of the background's all very, very nice. The only thing I'd be really mindful of is obviously, we've processed this to a point, and just the way that the branches and sort of the leaves here, it's just particularly the thinner ones are getting lost a little bit. It's kind of like, we've processed the sky, but at the sacrifice of these branches here. Now, I was reading in the judges' guidelines, about the whole concept of, non-accepted, particularly if there's a technical aspect that could be maybe fixed or whatever. I think that doesn't detract hugely. There's still lots of beautiful elements that make the image strong. So I think that that stands on its own from my point of view, and that's why I've given it a merit rather than a not accepted. Still lots of stuff going on. So well done. Yeah, nice image, and nicely processed as well. I think that's part of the success of this image. Yeah, look at this character. The blacksmith. Really shows a little, some nice little photographic techniques that I think are probably worth talking about just briefly. The main thing is focus. We focus beautifully on the eyes, but then our focus drops off very dramatically, and then our background is softened. And that just draws our attention to our main character here. The background supports, it doesn't detract, and that softness through the choice of the aperture to arguably push it out of focus has helped that. Maybe just a touch more contrast. I'd love, maybe the black's a bit blacker, the white's a bit whiter, particularly the beautiful his beard and the white in that, and then sort of the dark areas. So maybe just a bit more crunch, could have made the image even better. It's certainly got redeeming features, and he's a great character to photograph. So well done, well seen, well created photographically, and in camera, through the choice of the focus as mentioned, but also through the processing as well, but maybe just a little bit more of the processing. Oh, and Crispy is the name of this image here, and as a print, it was really nice, and here as a digital file as well. Really selective in the focus, like we're really sharp throughout the fish, the crispy fish here. And then, just a slither of the focus, so like a very thin sort of slice of the image, if you like, that shows that focus. So the background is, just almost completely out of focus, and the foreground here is also completely sort of out of focus as well. So just a slither of focus, which I think works really, really well. We know what the image is about. There's nothing detracting us from knowing what the message of the image is about. So I think that works really well. The crunch of the contrast is fantastic. I really like the black and white and sort of some harsh light that's accentuating that as well. And look, I've been talking a little bit about the contrast and the crunch and all those kind of things. Soft black and white has its place as well, but I think in this instance, the choice of the treatment has done the image a great service. Great capture, really unique. With the the name has me wondering, about it. To me, it looks as though it's above land in the sand, on the beach sort of thing. And he looks very, very hard and crispy. Hence the title, which helps paint the story in my mind at least. All right, and now to the big boys, honours. Let's have a look at some of these fantastic images. Yeah, this is great. So I think this image is called A Winding Path. Look, I think for me, most images fall into two categories, and I think I talked about this last year when I judged for you, is that they all come down to moments. We either capture moments or we create moments, and this is a moment that's been captured mainly with the weather, with these fantastic sort of clouds and the drama and so forth. And like the image is kind of almost cut in half with this sort of, really interesting sort of hillside with, somewhat of the winding path and so forth. And then in the background, we've got the drama of the clouds and sort of hiding and popping out and so forth as well. Really nice line here, all the way across, works really, really well. I really like the placement of all that. So that's been considered by the photographer, I'm assuming. It's interesting. I was judging a camera club just recently, and I made comment of a particular image that was a street image, and there was all elements that worked really nicely. And to me, it showed that the photographer had put thought into the placement of all these elements. And I was speaking to the photographer after the judging had finished, and he said he didn't actually do it on purpose. So I think sometimes we actually do things intuitively. And I would encourage photographers that, if you are intuitively photographing, actually stop and ask yourself, well, why am I placing that there? Why do I like that? And you can extend that, I think, to the whole concept of all the images that you see through your photographic journey and being a member of your camera club. Is look at the images and if you like an image, break it down. Why do you like that image? Why is that image working for you? What elements are supporting your feeling of that? And equally, photos that aren't so strong, why doesn't that image work? And actually break the elements down of the image. Why doesn't it work? Is it distracting, or is it whatever it is that works well for the image? Break it down, work it out, because that will help you to develop your eye and hopefully help you become certainly a better photographer as well. All right, let's head over to this fantastic image here. What's it? I'm going to have a go at the title. Parankani Falls. Just beautiful. The layering of the falls, is really, really nice. And all the foliage there, sort of frames it all beautifully as well. The photographer's used a really nice shutter speed to soften, to blur the water and show that sort of movement. It's a great technique for waterfalls, is to slow the shutter speed down, to slow the movement of the water and capture that sort of that movement, if you like, and almost create a sort of like an oily effect. It's very effective, and I think it's been done really well here. I mean, most waterfall and rainforesty images are not black and white, but I think in this instance, the black and white conversion works really well. Well done. I really enjoyed this image, and the print in particular was really nice to look at as well. Good work. All righty, so we're over to our second section, colour and open. So starting with our acceptance images. Yeah, look at this guy. Love his bill, and the image is actually called Blue Bill Duck, and that's definitely a highlight there. That's really nice. Love there's a serenity, to the whole scene. The waters, beautifully sort of still and so forth, except that just the little waves that are sort of by our little friend kicking away furiously under the water, no doubt. These little lines of the ripples and so forth are quite nice. It's just got a nice little feel to the image as well. The image wasn't particularly on the eyes, wasn't quite as sharp as I would have liked. Generally speaking, I think anything living, particularly with eyes, I think your eyes are drawn to eyes, and if we can have them in focus, it always makes for a slightly better outcome. The focus seems to be about here. Look overall, I think it's a really nice image, and there's some redeeming parts of the image, but focus can be a tool to have things in focus or out of focus, but I think in this instance, just a little bit more sharpness, where it counts. But yeah, beautiful reflection, beautiful colours, beautiful, sort of feeling of peace and so forth, which I think sort of works for the image as well. Yeah, look at the action here, fantastic. High water is the name of this image here, and obviously the water is up in this particular area where we're taking advantage. Very bright, very punchy with its colours, which is nice as well. You could see this being used in sort of marketing or sort of a commercial application, if you like. It's interesting what she's sort of got something. Sort of obviously on the face there as a part of the tools of the trade, if you like. We're probably lacking. It would be nice to see a little bit more sort of expression on her face there, just to show the chaos that she's enduring and so forth. Love the colour interplay. The green and the yellow there work really nice, and the orange and so forth, and just sort of that nice line going, sort of flows down quite nicely. Good use of a fast shutter speed as well. All the water has been frozen in the chaos of obviously the water in this particular area. So yeah, good stuff. Yeah, look at this fella. Musk duck. Yeah, these guys are very unique. With this thing here and beautiful feathers up there as well. So it's got some interest there that sort of held my attention through the uniqueness of this particular feathered friend. Like the little interplay there of the colours in the background there. That's sort of a nice little framing. Part of the image all up the top there, and then some nice negative space around the duck as well. We don't particularly. There's a lot of bird photography in clubs at the moment, and obviously access, I should say, to the gear to enable us to do bird photography, long lenses and so forth. And there's a lot of images that fill the frame with the feathered friend. But it's nice to have part of the scene or the location or the environment that the bird's in. So I think that kind of works from this point of view. The lighting's fairly harsh. It's not sort of it's not sort of a soft warm glow. It's somewhat middayish, I imagine. So some nice elements there that I think certainly hold the viewer's attention for a period of time. Yeah, it's always interesting. There's always kind of I think simply put, three scenes in any location. You've got the wide, the mid, the close, and so the photographer here has chosen to sort of come into arguably a close up, mid to close up shot here, and sort of highlighting the old skills of masonry, if you like, and the image is actually called the Mason skill, and there's obviously definitely sort of skill involved in this. Just the intricate sort of work in the stone is quite incredible. These little borders and so forth, and the way these bricks here are sort of bordered out is interesting. So, from a engineering point of view, and that skill from the masons of yesteryear is somewhat highlighted. The texture is interesting. The colours are kind of interesting as well. It's probably lacking a little bit of focus and a point of interest. I like the way the photographers kept the parallels down here, but we kind of lose it up here. So maybe we could have been a little bit more square on. Either shooting completely on the side and maybe not having this part here, just sort of going, moving a bit to the right or left. But I like the idea of what we're trying to achieve is zooming in on a small part of a larger scene. I think that's always something that you should do is look at the wide, look at the mid, look at the close, and work out what works for you. Either through the camera or through post after the fact. Yeah, wow, stunning stuff. Love the colours throughout this image, and the image, the title of the image, which is the Seat of Power, kind of alludes to me wanting to know more. So, where, how, why, all those kind of things. But yeah, just the again, the old world skills of these beautiful locations and so forth definitely come through here. Beautiful fresco and so forth. We've got a nice bit of interplay with framing, with part of the door and the window, maybe a little bit more of the door, or maybe we could have cropped a little bit of the window just to balance those things there a little bit. Look, the lights, beautiful that's coming through here is all stunning and so forth. But my eye is drawn a little bit to the highlights of the window. I sort of can't help it. I think our eyes are drawn to the brighter parts of an image, so that's something just to be mindful. Do we need the window in there at all? Could we have concentrated on, all these elements here and so forth? So look at, I think the challenge is when we photograph something that's somewhat exotic or distant to where we normally are, or something that's interesting, we still have to have photographic qualities that have the image be strong. Just relying on the subject matter alone is not enough. So we have to, have our photographic chops kicking in. Like the things I mentioned, with the light here and so forth as well. Maybe lacking a little bit of focus. There's a lot going on, but maybe we could have concentrated on a smaller part of the scene, or maybe we could have seen more, particularly of these chairs. Maybe having the chairs in completely rather than sort of cut off. So just be mindful and don't rely solely on what you're photographing as getting you across the line. You still have to have strong compositional elements and things that are supporting and balancing and it being pleasing to the eye, if you like. Alrighty, let's have a look at the open color highly commended images. Where are we? Here we go. Fantastic. Here, look at this guy here. Just love the blue. Really striking, and the print highlighted that quite nicely, which was great. Long lens, beautifully focused here. The background's been thrown out of focus nicely as well. Do think about what is in your background, even if your background is out of focus. Like this big sort of, well, it's probably not big, it's probably small, but it's quite a big, even with it being out of focus, it's kind of coming a little bit through the body, and these things can fly and move off really quickly. I get that, but if there was the opportunity just to think about not only your foreground, but thinking about your background and just thinking about all those elements, like this could have been, if we were able to move a little bit to the right to, position this, a bit more over here or somewhere else. It's not a big thing, but it's just something to think about. But I like the fact that we've softened that background, and our eye is somewhat mostly drawn to this beautiful, blue dragonfly. Nice bit of, I like the sort of simple colours over here, and there's colours over here with a touch of colours that are balancing over there as well. Do we need to see maybe we could have post-cropped just a little bit of this out, not having so much as an alternative, really sort of concentrating on our friend here. You don't want to sort of crop too much. Maybe we've already cropped a little bit. I'm not sure. But yeah, some looks, straight away, beautiful subject matter, punchy colours, great focus on our, very interesting friend here. Yeah, Grubby Dog is a title of this image here, and I'm suggesting that our furry friend here is fairly proud of the filth that he's just had a play in. Just love the expression there as well. It's really nice. Really nice. We've concentrated on him. We've, the background's sort of softened a little bit. Our focus is definitely where it needs to be, which is great. But just the expression, the title indicates what's happening over here as well. How could we have improved the image? maybe we could have come a little bit, maybe a little bit closer. I think generally speaking, with legs and feet and hands and all those kind of things, they're either in or they're out. So maybe we could have cropped in a little bit closer there, and just had more like a portrait. Maybe a little bit more room above the head, just a bit of breathing room up there. I like that line of the grass there, though. I think that's certainly quite nice. So just going back to what I was mentioning about before, do think about all elements when photographing, when looking through the camera. I think it's important to consider all those things if you can. Things like animals and people can move very quickly, so sometimes you don't have that opportunity to really think about what's happening in the background and foreground and so forth. But where you can and sort of analyze that, and particularly if you can do that in camera, I think that's where it kind of happens as well. But I think a great moment captured. Well done. Look at this. Really, really striking image. We're not quite super graceful. We don't sort of look like one of the many beautiful birds that can be photographed, but I like the moment, of flight and so forth. I think that works really well. Nicely focused in the area here. Love the movement in the wings and the awkwardness of the wings as well. They're not sort of fully spread, which can sometimes be that sort of majestic capture. So we're looking as though we're about to crash land or something. Who knows what's going to happen here. All these little elements here, the branches are actually really, really nicely placed. I like the simple blue background as well. Really helps us concentrate on our feathered friend here as well. But a great moment. I think a nice moment has been captured here, which is entertaining for the most part. It evokes, in me at least, a bit of a quirky kind of reaction to the image. So I think you've done quite well from that point of view. Look at this little guy. Cute and fluffy. What's the image name here? If I can get to it, plover chick. So I know there's various breeds of plovers, but the ones that we have here in Victoria are just annoying. They're loud and obnoxious, and they lay their nests in the middle of in the most annoying places and so forth. But arguably, if this is what they're raising, it's kind of worth it because it's pretty cute. Really like the position of our chick here, and particularly these sort of long bits of grass. Really nice sort of framing part of the plover, and then sort of that we've lost that over here. So these are really kind of working for the chick, and maybe the chick was kind of hiding or feeling somewhat protected in that little area here. Nice little part of the grass here in the foreground, and elements that are soft, elements that are sharp in line with our friend here. And then really throwing the background into focus as well. Good work. Very nice. Really striking. Just love the orange on the blue. I think that's fantastic. And a bit of negative space around there as well, I think is quite nice. Very graphic as a result. Square crop, I think, works also really nicely as well. It's quite funny. He's got what looks like a selfie stick, whether he's taking photos of video or whatever. And nice detail and nice light, on the strings here of the is it what's it called, a parasail or something? I think, I'm not sure. Some floating device that's defying gravity. But well seen. Graphic, punch. Nice work. Lovely. Beautiful colours. Beautiful interplay. Really striking. The uniqueness of the colours and the natural world just has so many gifts, which we get to enjoy. And I think that's one of the challenges that we have as photographers, is that when we're experiencing something that we're photographing, as a photographer, our senses are all in motor drive. They're all motor drive. Does it make sense? Probably but basically our senses are going in overdrive. That's what I meant to say. We see, we hear, we feel, and all those kind of things. And so when we capture, we want to share that experience with the viewer of the image. Will they experience somewhat of what I experienced? And I think this image, I think, does that quite nicely. Love the clouds, love the beautiful, sort of the blue and the white, and the lines and so forth are nice. And just the way, we've centralized, the larger sort of area of the trees and the beautiful, beautiful colors. And then, of course, the reflection as well works really nicely. Still waters as well helps that. So it looks like a very calm, serene part of the day, which is nice. Just be mindful of the highlights. Maybe we could have brought that down a little bit, either in the photographic process or in post. It kind of just takes your eye away a little bit. I like the slither of the leaves and the grass here as kind of a foreground element. Maybe a little bit more. Could have just strengthened the composition a little bit. Maybe a little bit more foreground could have helped with that a little bit. It's teasing us a little bit, but I think it's doing an okay job. The two there of the little grassy bits work kind of well, but the leaves and then the grass are certainly nice as well. Yeah, great stuff. Really like the image and the capture and the feeling that we're getting. The beauty of nature and the majesty of this time of the year. Nature is putting on a show, that's for sure. Look at this. Great work. Sound asleep. And aren't toddlers and babies just unique at the way that they can fall asleep anywhere and in any kind of crazy sort of conditions and so forth? That just doesn't look comfortable at all. But it's not bothering him. The colours, his clothes there, the sort of the earthy tones are really nice, and then contrasted nicely with the grey of the couch. I think that's quite nice. And look, a great capture for a family. I think seeing an image like this in years to come would be quite amusing, and an image that you could probably see coming out at the 21st. But going back to what I said earlier, a good example of a moment being captured. Well done, well seen, and great addition to the family album. Yeah, very nice. Just simply called Waratah. Love the lighting. It almost looks as though it could be done in a studio. I don't think it is. I think it's taken out in the field, but it's just beautiful, sort of above light, just falling down, highlighting the tops of these leaves. The drops here on the red part of the flower are beautiful. Long lens, background out of focus. And whether it's, just a natural drop off in a dark area where there was light coming on here, but not in the background, it's kind of worked nicely as well. It doesn't look too artificial, although just probably, you can kind of see the blackness kind of drops off fairly drastic, and there's some lines here where maybe, I'm not sure whether that's the way it happened or just something to be a little bit mindful of. But just love, the first reaction I had was just the beauty of this particular flower and the lighting conditions and just sort of highlighting that, with just concentrating on that without sort of distractions in the background and so forth. So nice capture. All right, and we're up to the merit of the open color. Yeah, look at this guy, and I think this is called Just Landing. Love the lots of things going on here that I think are really nice. I think the striking colours of the reds and the yellows, orange if you like as well, with the flowers here are beautiful, and the way our feathered friend here is kind of sort of taking it all in from below is really curious and quite quirky as well. So I think that's unique and stands out in my mind. And long lens, background's thrown out of focus. It's quite a busy background. The color interplay, I think, kind of works. There's lots of lines though with all that, so maybe we could have just softened that a little bit. But arguably, you might say, well, I actually like the intensity of the green and the interplay with the orange and the reds and so forth. So there's just I suppose a few different ways that you can look at it. But love the moment, love the quirkiness, the upside down, works well. Just the striking colours here, and the interplay with this guy here works really well. So yeah, well done. Yeah, beautiful. Love the the fact that we have foreground interest as well as background interest. I think sometimes in photographing the stars and the Milky Way and so forth, we kind of can rely just on that alone as being sort of the interest, but it's always nice when you're incorporating the environment as well. And this old sort of building here works well, interplays nicely with the shed over here, and just the little bit of light on the fence there, which is really nice. Great detail in the sky, the Milky Way, and all the stars and so forth, and the colour is really nice. A bit of the cloud there. Just really nice. Be curious to. I wonder if this is moonlight or there's a street light just left here. I'm not quite sure. If I was in the club room, I'd ask the photographer how that was done. I'm dare saying it was probably as it was captured. But to balance the light on the foreground and all this area here and keep that sort of all where it needs to be, and the night sky, I think is the success of the image. So well done. Now, where's the name of this image here? So in my mind, this has got quite a there's an abstract feel to the image, and the thing that I find interesting, if I can just find, I can't find the title name. That's okay. No, I've got it in front of me, but I can't see the forest through the trees. But just love the abstract feel to it, to the water in particular. And just the colours and the sort of shapes and graphic elements of the water works really nicely. But particularly the colours, the interplay, the oranges and the reds and the greens and the yellows. Sort of, we've got a shape here, we've got a shape here, which is nice, a shape there. Over here as well, and then of course all this beautiful movement of the water is fantastic, and then with the stillness of the rocks in the foreground. You almost don't need the rocks. I think in my mind, my eye is just attracted to this area here. So maybe either a little bit more of the rocks or maybe even less. But look, all the same, it's striking, and I really enjoyed this image, and the print in itself was really nice as well. Generally speaking, there were some beautiful stocks used, paper stock, which is really nice. I made a point of taking all the images out of their plastic sleeves where they weren't taped, and just having a look at the paper stock. I think that does come into an image. It's not just about the image; it's about the presentation and the paper stock choices. For particular images and colours and dynamics of those images, do warrant different paper choices as well. So I think some of you definitely took advantage of that, which is great. But love the abstract feel to this image. Love the colours. Love the movement. And again, the photographer is concentrated on a close up component of this scene. And I want to know more. It's really nice. All right, up to the big boys. Honours in our open colour. Yeah. The print was in particular beautiful. It was a really, as mentioned before, was a beautiful paper stock that really worked for the image. The photographer, I think from a technical and creative point of view, shows me that they know what they're doing. Obviously a long lens, beautifully focused, which is great. And sort of the focus is limited, to this kind of plane here, which obviously is where our bird is, and then the water foreground's out of focus, and then it quickly drops off all through the back there. Really like the line here, just above the head. We could have quite easily have had this line here go through the bird's head, but I think that's been considered nicely. And then obviously the sort of the land, if you like, in the background there. But just love the majesty of the bird, the pose, and sort of what we're doing there. The image is called preening, and we kind of get a little bit of a sense of that. But just the detail and the beauty through the feathers and so forth as well. But again, as a print, it came up beautifully. So well done. As did this image as well. This was a beautiful print as well, and the paper stock really lent itself, to this image and its success. I really enjoyed. I love the color interplay, with all the elements of the image, taken somewhat after sunset or before sunrise, either or, and the blue sort of hour, if you like, of the sky and the reflection in the water, but then the man-made light and accentuating the colors, throughout all the containers and so forth, and just obviously the light itself, just beautiful, and the way that again how that all those elements, particularly the colours and so forth, were accentuated in the print as well. Definitely worked to the success of the image. And look, there's beauty in the natural world, and there's beauty in the man-made world, and there's opportunities to make beautiful images in all kinds of situations, and in this instance, in the right conditions with the lighting and the mood of the time of day, I think has worked really well for this image. So well done. So there we go. I think that's it. So just, if I may, I like to give a little shout out to a few bits and pieces that may be of interest to you. I would have mentioned this last time. I'm a big advocate of the APJA, the Australian Photographic Judges Association. Even though I've been judging for over 20 years, I discovered these guys a few years ago. And, if you're interested in judging and going down that path, these are the guys to go to. But what they do really well is that they break down and talk a lot about different genres of photography. So as a judge, you come across lots of different genres, and it's important to understand because it may not be your area of expertise per se. So you do need to have an understanding of all the different genres. But they talk about the history of those genres as well. It's not just about judging. So look them up online and consider going through their courses. It's all very well priced. It's a great little community, and I'm certainly a bit of a fanboy. I listen to quite a few photographic podcasts. Down South Photo Show, you've got Cam Blake based down in Hobart, and Brendan Waits based in Ocean Grove, Victoria. It's a landscape podcast. They talk, landscape is their main thing. It's very light. They're very amusing. It's very entertaining listening. An episode goes for generally no more than an hour. It's definitely recommend them. I think it's you'll be entertained, and you may even learn something as well. This is a more recent podcast I've discovered. These guys are based in Victoria. And this is a bit more long form. They tend to they have actually two different shows. They have one where they sort of profile a photographer and sort of talk about their journey and what they do photographically speaking, and they go for about 2 hours. They've had some great guests on as well. They also do a random photography show where that's kind of just talking about news and different sort of the photography news and products that are coming out and all those kind of things as well. Again, easy listening, great guys, and it's also run by the guys that have the little business Lucky Straps. So they're custom-made camera straps, and they are beautiful. I own one of them, and they put a lot of their heart and soul into the creation of their camera straps, and can't recommend them highly enough. Last year I experienced my first Bright Festival of Photography, and it was fantastic. And where I can, I'm giving them a shout out because I think it's a really worthwhile expedition. It's 3 days of photography. It's just mad. There's presenters, there's workshops. They have really out there evenings of photography and games and carry on and whatever else. It's worth the trip over to the mainland. If you get that opportunity, and just be surrounded by 3 days of photography, and there's suppliers there, and all the main camera suppliers are there, and you can touch and play and borrow a camera or lens and just get out there and do it. And of course, it's in Bright, which is in the hills of Victoria, which is a beautiful location as well. So I like to give them a shout out. All right, so I've been doing lots of talking about other people's photography. After this slide, I've got a short slideshow, which was a part of my judging last year, but it's just a 3-minute little slideshow of the work that I do personally. It's my personal photography. My main thing with my photography is that I generally chase light. I like to chase light, and I like to shoot to print, so I like to get it right in camera. And that comes from my shooting film days of just, the intolerance of slide film in particular. You had to get it right in camera, no post-cropping, so you have to really think about cropping in camera and so forth as well. So I try and do that even now, and hopefully you can get a bit of an idea and a bit of a cross-section of the work that I do. So let's see if we can get that going. All right, there. Hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight to my photography and the way I see the world, and we're all unique in doing so. You can see my work on Instagram. You can see my handle there. Feel free to reach out if you like. Have a look at some of my work, and feel free to contact me if you so wish. But thank you for asking me to judge your club. Again, I enjoy the images that you've all taken, and collectively, it's a great body of work. And it was a pleasure to be a part of the judging process of your images. And well done to all of you for submitting your images and particular prints. And for those that are new to the club or new to photography, and maybe haven't sort of gone down that road. The process of capture to post-process to print is it's a steep learning curve when you first begin, but it's one that will definitely sharpen your photographic skills. So definitely give that a go and turn to some more experienced members of your club to help you go through those different stages to learn your craft. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I again appreciate you entrusting me to look at your images and pass judgment, so to speak. Thank you very much, and we'll see you hopefully in the future.